You are listening to the Unreasonable Fridays Podcast Network.
What's cracking, people? Y'all ready? Let's go. This beat make me feel like a cunt. This make me feel like a cunt. This make me feel like a cunt. Cunt.
Good evening, fellow sexual subjects. You are listening to a broadcast of the CuntCast podcast, a conversation with a classically characterized cunt, carefully crafted with cognizant courage to champion conscientious consummation. And I am your host, Najayla Ree, a sex blogger who hasn't touched another human being in well over a year. And I am joined by my favorite person, Mr. Aaron Rand Freeman. How are you doing, sir?
For the record, when we can touch each other, I'm going to tackle hug you like Tigger. It's going to be a professional wrestling style tackle down some stairs where everyone's fine. But it's,
for the sake of my spine, can we just make that a bro dap?
No. That's what happens when you go too long without seeing someone. Is you get these tackle hugs. Now, am I necessarily going to tackle you through a table and give you a hug? No, that can be negotiated long term, but the tackle hug is non-negotiable. That is 100%
Can we tackle hug onto a soft surface?
That's part of the negotiation process. Sure, we can find we can make a nice bed. We can make a nice bed fort, little pillow fort there.
Yeah. Pillow forts. I'm always down for pillow forts.
And then we can do that because the hug is going to happen. Where it winds up is not like the actual, like that can be this. It could be a pillow fort. It could be a pool. It could be a lake.
Yeah. Not a lake because they're squishy on the bottom, and I'm not into that.
I mean, standing bodies of water are not my jam. Like people like to frolic in standing bodies of water. My faith in humanity's ability to keep this planet clean is shot. So any stagnant, any place.
So we're going with a chlorinated pool with several floaties for our safety.
Yes, there you go. That would be it.
Yeah. I get down with that.
Several lifeguards. Like a matter of fact, they'd be waiting on the bottom, waiting to spring us back up out of the pool and put us back on the lip of the pool. As soon as we hit the water, they would just be on the bottom and spring us back up, and it would just be standing back where we were, except we'd just be wet, but we'd be both standing back on the pool like a second later. That's the plan. Merry Christmas, everybody!
Woohoo! Happy holidays!
Oh yeah, happy holidays. Fuck Christmas.
I mean, you can say Merry Christmas. I just say Happy Holidays now to spite people who think there is a war on Christmas.
I didn't know Christmas was a thing that we could fight it wasn't a resource that we fought over as a country.
Apparently, if you go down, well, don't go down, but PragerU says there's a war on Christmas, so a bunch of people that are very gullible believe there's a war on Christmas.
Right.
So to make those people just a little bit sadder, because their happiness does offend me, I'm going to say Happy Holidays.
But it's funny, I always hear the war on Christmas as a gag. But
no, there are people who are like legit war on Christmas.
But there's no such thing. Christmas is still the dominant thing that we celebrate in the country. That's why I'm Jewish, I don't celebrate this is still a viable joke. It's like it's a gag that I've seen pop up in places like, oh, I'm Jewish. Or the Happy Hanukkah dude in a row of Christmas people. That's a joke because America celebrates Christmas and we don't really recognize anything else.
We aggressively celebrate Christmas in a way that is the antithesis of Christ's actual teachings, but it's neither here nor there.
My favorite thing about Christmas now is thinking about what impractical gifts you would get a baby in 2020, because that's what happened. Those three wise men came and dropped Jesus like some tickets to the opera.
They did give
and some whiskey,
really impractical gifts.
right?
I could just imagine,
and like a silk tie, and it's
how
like
poor Mary must have felt on that night. Like it's cold. You're in a goddamn barn. You've just given birth amongst manure. because that's what's in a manger.
Right.
It's where donkeys hang out. It's gross. It's smelly. You're bleeding from your vagina. And you've never even had sex. So that's just how she feels. Vaginas go. It's
Yeah.
you menstruate maybe if she was old enough. And then babies come rocketing out of them. None of the good stuff. So, and then 3 weirdos come in and give her a whole bunch of crap. Like, here's some perfume, some like non-edible stuff, frankincense and myrrh and some gold and silver, whatever. Things that babies really love. And then some drummer is just rat-a-tat-tatting in her face about the whole deal. So
Yeah.
it was probably not her favorite day.
I'm trying to think of the 3 things that I decided would also be a really good impractical gifts for a baby in 2020. Like, I was like, you get them whiskey, a PlayStation 5, and something else. Like, you just like 3 things like for a newborn baby that is just highly impractical,
That
but
will
right on
make their
brand.
parents hate you.
Right? Like, why did you get this?
I would go with like a kazoo.
You can play. I think you can give a baby a kazoo and they'll be amused by it.
Their parents will not be, though.
Right, but that's the thing. It has to be something that literally a baby has no use for. Like, a baby wouldn't even be able to like chew on for their amusement. Like, completely impractical.
Oh, give them the Foucault reader, a cat tree, and some gravel. Just a bag of gravel.
Oh, that's it. That's what I thought. Aftershave, a PlayStation 5, and whiskey. That was it. There's 3 things you just would not want. Just as a present for the baby. Yeah, as a present for the baby. It's like, no, it's not your whiskey, Mary. It's Jesus's whiskey. Don't touch it. It's his. This is our Lord Jesus Savior.
We followed a star. We brought this hooch. Let's start a religion, motherfuckers.
I paid $1,800 for this PlayStation, so little nigga's gonna play it. You're not you, him. Just plug it in and leave the controller in the fucking manger in the hay with him.
Some camel's gonna sit on it or something.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, I've been making fun of Jesus for a bit. I also firmly I have a running gag that Jesus came down to tell us all that it was pronounced Jod, and then we killed him. That's why we strung him up, because he came through like, listen, it's actually, I'm Jesus and it's Jod. For the people at the GIF argument is like, no, actually it actually is Jod, but then we murdered the shit out of him, and that's the end of that. That's why God abandoned it. That's why Jod abandoned us, because he sent his boy to settle this argument, and we killed him.
See that? Oh, please don't condemn me for this blasphemy.
We have a Patreon, ladies and gentlemen. Unreasonable.
We do.
We do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/unfridays for more of this 100% accurate theological discussions based on only a keen, unique understanding of the Bible.
From a whore and a comedian.
Also, you have your own Patreon, which people should be pointed towards.
I do.
It's
and I'm going to start using it.
Separate from Unreasonable Fridays, by the way. You might just want to support Najela. That is totally above board. Najela, what is your Patreon?
I should know this off the top of my head, right? I'm going to assume it's patreon.com/BlazienBitch. I hope I'm right.
Let me look this up. Let me look this up so we make sure we're not sending people in the wrong direction.
But yeah, I actually decided to try to throw my hand back into fiction writing, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm probably bad at it, but I decided that's what I'm gonna do. That's what is my quarantine gift to the world.
That's what's up.
It's gonna be my bad Wattpad fiction.
No, it's not bad.
Urban fantasy.
It is not bad.
You haven't read it.
Well, you can. You've been a good writer for as long as I've known you. Have you gotten a chance to do good writing? No, you've been professionally kind of given the shaft, but you yourself can write. It's not. It's a matter of just getting the opportunity.
Also, I was in a coma for half a month, so my brain don't brain good.
Your brain,
but I'm trying to get it back. I'm trying to get it back.
You're getting back on the horse. I'm just gonna say
Yeah.
that as someone who knows you. You're definitely getting back on the horse, and that's really good. That's really all that matters.
Yeah, so I decided I'm going to use Patreon. That's going to be a place where I'm going to like shit post about like my writer's journey, which is basically me going, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know if you've ever tried to like do long form fiction writing, but you realize how little you know about all the things when you try to write something.
Mm-hmm.
Like every other paragraph, I'm just like, I better research this, which obviously I like doing research. It's kind of my thing, but I also realize um, when you write uh, and you try to have characters that are very different from you, you will not get it right if you don't do that research. So I am at least enjoying that part of the writing process. Also, realizing how hard it is to type with longer fingernails because I was like I had pretty bad anxiety. So what I would do, I was biting my nails all the time. Since I was like 3, I was a nail biter. Went into the coma, woke up. I no longer bite my nails. So my nails grow incredibly fast. Uh, so now I'm trying to keep them like sports length. But if you've been typing very fast your whole life with very stubby nails and suddenly you have very long nails, um, you realize that you have lost your ability to type, at least as accurately as you remember.
Right.
So that was a cute little discovery, good little journey. I had a birthday. That was cool.
Happy belated.
Yeah, I'm old. Yay.
You're not old. Now, are you spiritually old because of the year? Yes. We're all about 12 years older than our official age.
Now 63 years old, no matter how old you are. Yes. We're all 63. So good news for some people, pretty bad news for all of our listeners, mostly. But I had a pretty chill birthday because I, even in the best of times, don't want to go outside and deal with people. So this year, nobody could try to make me do things. And that was my favorite gift. Also, I got some pretty good gifts off my wish list.
Hey.
Not to brag, I decided I'm going to be a vinyl cunt. Because I got my dad a record player because he had a record collection when I was a little girl. And when they moved to North Carolina, his record player like broke in the mood. So I was like, I'm gonna replace that because I was like working and I had money. So when I came down, I'm with my parents now, and I realized I have not heard him use his record player.
Right.
And his record collection is like in a closet, just collecting dust. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to use that record player and I'm going to play garbage on it. So I added all of Panic at the Disco's records to my wish list. Some I don't know how, but you found me some Saint Motel, and I got a bunch of them. The only Panic at the Disco record I don't have right now is their first one, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. Classic. But people want like real money for that one, and I'm not willing to give it to them. But it's still on my wish list. Hinty hint, winky wink. But I noticed this birthday, because more people I think are open to the wish list because it's been a year of birthdays where you can't like physically give people gifts. More people paid attention to my wish list, and I realized that the way women deal with wish lists and men deal with wish lists are so dramatically freaking different. Like most of the guys that approach me like, oh, I see your birthday's coming up. What do you want? And I was just like, I have a wish list. And I linked them to the wish list. And it would always be like, so you have any toys on there? Do you have any lingerie? And I'm like, no, but I have this like closet organizational system that I'm very much into. I have like a cool water fountain for my cat. Things I'm wishing for. And they'd be like, well, I'm going to buy you some stockings, some lingerie. And I'm like, for what? We can't touch each other without dying. And I'm not taking pictures. So what is this for? Uh, and I also noticed one guy was like, I would risk getting COVID for that pussy. And I'm like, ew,
Ew.
that doesn't make me endeared to you or turned on. Just
No.
makes
No.
me sad for you, really.
Oh man, no.
That sounds like a cry for help, sir.
No. That's a no. No. Guys, no.
But I
Don't ever say
noticed
that. Don't ever say that.
the
Yes.
when a longtime listener actually did get me some closet organizational stuff, creamed my pants. I was so excited. I've organized my closet. I feel like a superstar. I've never felt better in my life. But also, I noticed ladies were like, "Oh, I heard you like journaling. Here's some stickers that I found." Like it was very like, "Here are things for you." Not here's some stuff I could give you that I will then later benefit from, as
Mm-hmm.
like what the dudes did. So I kind of feel like if you have like your favorite sex worker or porn star or you know personality, and you see that they have an eccentric wish list, sometimes it's just great to get them a random item, even if you yourself think that's a lame gift. They put it on the wish list because they wanted it. So I think it's so weird when somebody goes, "It's your birthday. Here's a list of things you say you wanted. And now I'm going to give you shit for them because I don't feel like they're cool or sexy enough."
I don't do that.
It reminds me of that awful song Birthday Sex by Jeremiah, where he's like, "It's your birthday, so I'm going to have sex with you because I like having sex with you so much." Which, for some reason, he wrote, sang, released, and nobody told him that was a bad idea. Or at least he didn't listen to anybody who told him that was a bad idea, because I guarantee he's played that song for some woman and they were just like, "Nigga," and gave him the look, and he was like, "Nah, she's good." God, I hate that song. Birthday sex. That's not a gift.
that sex isn't a gift. No, if you're fucking someone regularly, that's part of the birthday. If you are, if you don't know that person, they don't necessarily want sex for their birthday. They would ask for it. Maybe that's my experience, is that I only know people who are very forward comparatively. I've never had this whole coy, non-men trying to figure out what they want thing. I've had people ask me for sex on their birthday. Those people want sex with me for their birthday because they asked for it.
Yeah,
I'm never
well,
going to
at that
assume
point,
they're asking. I'm never going to assume.
requested,
Right.
and that's cool.
Right.
In the context of the Jeremiah song, I do not get that impression.
No.
I get that impression that he's like, "Oh, it's your birthday. I've decided to give you sex with me because I super dig being inside you."
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Like, happy birthday, your present, friction on your genitals. Yeah, you see why we're not impressed by that? It doesn't sound good because it's not a good present. I would rather get a gift card to a restaurant during a pandemic than birthday sex.
Yeah, because you can order the takeout.
Yeah.
You can do delivery, you can do pickup, you can have them leave it on the curb. Like, you're more likely to get more use out of that gift card for a restaurant during a pandemic than you are sex. Just like,
I actually imagine that in the pandemic, DoorDash gift cards are basically a better currency.
there you go. You hear that, folks? Like, that's actually completely true. DoorDash gift cards, folks.
Well, DoorDash is evil, so don't give them money.
Oh, wait. No, who isn't evil? Is Caviar? No, Caviar was bought by DoorDash. They weren't evil, and then DoorDash bought them.
Yeah, DoorDash pretty much bought everybody that was competing against them and not being evil. So kind of just, if you want takeout, order it directly from the restaurant so they could actually make a profit and stay in business.
All right, so we need
Yeah. But so that was my pandemic birthday. I'm looking very forward to all my records. My parents will be very sad because I'm sure they don't want to hear Panic at the Disco. Who they are still confused. They can't tell Panic at the Disco from Blink 182, which I find hilarious.
That's wild.
But to them, it's the caterwauling white men, just same diff. And I get that. Sure, fine, it's fine.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I can identify Panic at the Disco because of you. I don't like them, but I've learned to love them. Like when I hear them now, it reminds me of you. So now I've learned to like them because of that. The amount of times I've heard them in the background somewhere, and sometimes I've DM'd you just to say hello, is because I'm just like,
they're my calling card.
And it's good because, it's one of those situations where you have that warm fuzzy moment and you can actually jump in someone's DM and not be terrible. Like I take advantage of that wholly. I'm like, all right.
When people tell me they don't like Panic at the Disco, I'm like, have you been watching the videos or are you just listening to the music? Because Brendan Urie's face is hard to get past, and I'm not going to fault you for that. But if you just like forget his weird face or body and just listen to his angelic voice, then you can like get down with it. Or if you like the songwriting, I figured out like my top Panic album is one that was written by Urie and the bassist at the time.
Right.
And he left to form another band. I realized I really like them. Then I went back and looked at all the Panic songs that are like my favorites.
Right.
And I was like, oh, do I like Panic at the Disco or do I like Dallin Weeks and Spencer Smith?
Ooh.
Because I like their shit that they write. So it could be his face. It gets very distracting, which is why I, for one, am very happy that I just stream music and don't have to look at people's faces anymore. I feel we're in like a post-music video world where I could hear a song a billion times and never have seen the video. Whereas before, everything was about the video.
Right. I mean, I remember. I'm scared. I want to make the box reference. Do you remember the box on cable access?
I do remember the box. You had to call a number and pay to get a video played. God,
that was one that was phenomenal, and I don't know what happened. Like I enjoyed that more than MTV because the box never put on any programming. It was the box. It was just music videos, and you just called them in.
Yeah, but you have to wait like 2 hours to get your video played because you're in a queue of 117 videos.
Listen,
you're like, oh, you're just.
I would say any and all of that was better than like Carson Daly, for example.
So I remember when the MTV Beach House came to New Jersey, they did a Jersey Shore summer beach house. I was not yet in high school, but like on my way there. So they let us go on trips that were sponsored by the high school, and they did a Jersey Shore trip. So a whole bunch of us went just so we could sneak off away from our chaperones and try to get into the MTV Beach House, which clearly didn't work because there was like a gaggle of like 11 and 12-year-olds like, we're adults, ignore our braces. And, so they were like, you guys cannot, like, we're not letting you in. You don't even have ID. We had like our middle school fucking IDs, and they were just like, get out of here, garbage. But we did get to see Carson Daly drink soda from a window, and he waved to us, and we thought it was the shit. It's like my best summer memory. And also, I ate a candy apple and got very sick because it's a lot of sugar, and my body was not prepared.
I'll tell you right now, there is nobody that eats a candy apple and their body responds well. Do they block it out?
Why do we sell those? Like, who are they making them for? If you've had one candy apple, you never have another one in your life.
The problem with candy apples, much like cotton candy, is the quantity is too large. Like, they give you a whole fucking apple covered in caramel. That's too much. Like, if they gave you I
didn't even have the caramel one because I was like, that's going to be too much. So I had like the one that's like candy coated, the bright red one, because it's like a thinner coat of candy. So I figured that would be less sugar.
And appropriate would be literally like 2 slices of candied apple would be an appropriate serving of candy apple for the human body. Not whole like big round basketball sized apple covered in whatever the fuck.
It was a Granny Smith apple the size of my fist.
Right. That's too much. That's too much candied apple.
Yeah. And I ate the whole thing and then had Nathan's French fries, which were very good. And
what's that combination? Oh yeah, man.
Not what my stomach wanted.
Shit.
And then I got on a boat.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
with all
it
due
was just to
respect, what
cover
the
a bad decision.
right? With all due respect, what the entire fuck?
Uh, I did accidentally throw up in the ocean as my gift to the sea. And then went back. And I had to drive on a bumpy bus back to North Jersey for 2.5 hours. But Carson Daly waved to me.
And it's funny because there were always kids when you go to Times Square. I used to always be around and through there. There were always kids waving outside, trying to get him to wave back at them.
When I worked at MTV Viacom like the last year of TRL,
Right.
2009, right before they lost that studio space.
Right.
And I was always wondering, like, I'd go out for lunch, it'd be all these like kids, and I'm like, why aren't you in school? It'd be in the middle of the day. They did Total Request Live at like noon almost was when the taping started, and that's when the kids would start gathering. And I'm like, did you cut school for this?
Yes.
You can't see the videos.
Right. But they were critical to the appearance of TRL because of that. Because outside the kids slammed up against the window were critical. Like that was my first introduction to like Eminem live. Was him being there and just everyone just talking, him having a weird conversation with Carson Daly, and then all the kids slammed up against the window outside.
Yeah, and it was always very weird to me because they were like, everybody was like, oh, did you see any celebrities? And I'm like, no. I mean, like technically, like I closed the elevator door in what I was later told was Kristen Cavallari's face, and I'm still not sure who Kristen Cavallari is, so I don't know if she should count as a celebrity.
She's I know the name. I think Jake.
She was on a show that which is probably why I didn't get like my contract extended for MTV, because I literally cornered one of the producers and I'm like, what is The Hills? Like, why is this, why does it exist? Like, what is it? He's like, well, it's a reality show, but like it's not, because I see like part of my job was tracking all like the scripts for their quote unquote reality shows. Yeah, they're hella scripted. So I'm like, it's not reality. These people aren't like famous. Why do we have a show about them? Like, what is the purpose? Like, I just wanted to find that meaning. And then he like eventually was like, I don't know. It's a show and people are watching it. Then he went to lunch.
Leave me alone, man.
I wasn't like, what are you I wasn't like coming after him like he was deteriorating society or anything, but I did just want to know why.
I mean, that's a fair question.
I was working in standards and practices, so my experience with all the shows were basically, I everybody in standards and practices had a block or several blocks of television that they would watch and record, and then like say all the naughty stuff that they did during that block, and then we'd snitch. So when MTV got in trouble, like I was there the year Snooki got punched in the face, and MTV played it a lot. And a lot of the standards boards were like, why are you showing this man punch a woman? That's so bad. And we would go, oh ho, but on like a rival network show, like FX or whatever. Actually, I don't think they're even a rival anymore. But on a non-Viacom station, you showed X, Y, and Z. And that was my job. You actually get paid to do that. But it was very weird to see how violence was usually a-okay, but sex never was.
No, that's usually that's the American way. Yes.
Yeah. So they got a lot of complaints for like, Eminem making a video where he kills his wife. That was boo. But like, I can't remember the name. They're like obscure now, but they made a song Asher Roth, that's his name. So Asher Roth made a song where he had a hat that said Blumpkin King on it. Um, and for those who are not aware, a Blumpkin is when you give oral pleasure to somebody whilst they evacuate on the toilet, which is something I had to explain to a boardroom of people, including one of the VPs at MTV, because I was the standards and practice person at that meeting. Um, while my boss at the time was too embarrassed to say anything, and I'm like, we should bleep that. People might find that offensive.
Phenomenal.
And also because of that, because I told the VP that she was so disgusted that she banned the video outright. So it did not play in rotation. And that was Asher Roth's second single. So I would like to say that I am the reason that Asher Roth is a one-hit wonder.
Yes! Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
That's my claim to fame. I destroyed Asher Roth's career. Yes. And now I have to watch while everybody else's careers get ruined by social media.
Well,
social media.
Well, general rule of thumb is just don't be a terrible racist. Okay.
Oh, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about how probably in the next 10 years there will be no American porn because we allowed a monopoly to happen, and MindGeek was not a good steward for the adult industry, let a whole bunch of bullshit pass. And now we have legislation that pretty much will make it impossible for independent people to create adult content. And you have places like Facebook and Instagram that just want to sanitize the internet completely, where they just don't want sex workers on it, even if we're just doing sex education. They're shadow banning, they started just purging. Instagram is doing just a great purge of sex workers. So we can't even use certain emojis anymore. That might get you flagged. So yeah, it's kind of it's about to be a real dark timeline for sex workers.
Well, it's part of the work that we have to do. Like I was always saying that it's in our benefit to like the election wasn't to change anything for the better, but to provide a protestable administration in some way, as opposed to just all of us being openly set on fire because we stand for things and having that be supported by the administration. Now, I'm not saying that they don't support that. I'm just saying, like, at least there could be a little more underground about it, as opposed to now.
Well, currently the bill that is scaring the pants off of everybody, the Stop Internet Sexual Exploitation Act, is a bipartisan bill. It was introduced by a Democrat and a Republican working together to screw people over.
Always.
Yeah. And it is clearly just created by two dudes who just hate fucking. It is way worse than FOSTA SESTA. Because it'll basically, like, it sounds good on the surface because nobody wants revenge porn. Nobody wants people being exploited, obviously.
Right.
But the way that they have worded this, it's a very badly worded bill. It's a very vaguely worded bill. But one thing that they are saying is that they want a database for individuals who have indicated that they don't consent to being featured in content. So you basically have to opt out of being in porn. And before uploading images or videos, platforms would have to check everybody against this database to ensure that they're not in an image, which sounds like whatever. But if you are an independent creator, you afford to have the technology to check that database for every one of your uploads.
Hmm.
Especially if it's something that they monetize or gatekeep and say you have to have such and such license to access this database, which they totally can do because it's a very broadly worded bill. They also want to have something separate from Section 230 of the Communication Decency Act. So they want to bypass that immunity clause so you could have civil litigation against a platform if there's a picture on it that you don't like. They also want to have, if you house any kind of adult, or actually, it actually doesn't specify adult. So if you house any pictures on your website, you have to have a 24-hour online line that somebody could call to have their picture taken down, and you have to be able to comply with that demand in 2 hours.
2 hours?
Yes.
Oh dear. Well, do they have? Oh, okay. No. It just
Yeah,
doesn't seem
they
like
want it.
some. It doesn't seem like something that can be sorted out in any reasonable. I feel like it's just something that'll be immediately exploited, immediately.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So if you're wondering why Pornhub went dark, first of all, stop using Pornhub. If you guys would have listened to us so many years ago about not using Pornhub and supporting sex workers, we wouldn't be in this mess. But if you're wondering why you can't access so much stuff on Pornhub, it's because Pornhub pulled everything that wasn't uploaded by one of their verified accounts because their takedown process was highly flawed and their upload process was highly flawed. Hold on. Sorry. So that is why Pornhub went dark in response to them losing access to their payment processors. Both Visa and MasterCard decided that they will not facilitate any money transactions on Pornhub. So basically, sex workers are not getting paid, and the money that sex workers were making, that potential uh, income has just been halved because not only did they take out anything from uh, unverified users, like people who do a lot of fetish content were finding that their videos were being taken down even if they were verified users. So
okay,
that
of course.
infamous day of adult sites going dark is becoming more and more of a reality. It's not just a scare tactic that people can use. It's something we're actually going to have to fight for our like sexual expression, because from if Pornhub is getting hit, anybody could get hit.
Well, there you
And
go.
there is a petition that people are circulating to stop the bill, the Stop Internet Sexual Exploitation Act, to have it re-examined, go back to the drawing board, and find a better solution. And there's also a change.org petition that I will link to this episode.
Yeah,
I'll
we're
send
gonna
it
have to
to
put
you.
that in the show notes, please do.
That's to have Instagram stop unfairly censoring nudity and sex education. Even though what's sad is Instagram, private business. So technically, you can do whatever the heck they want. But it is kind of important that we have um, sex education that is accessible to all. Even though Instagram, Facebook, and a lot of other corporations would have you believe that we don't need it because it's not advertiser friendly. Like, people are destroying sex education in America because it's not advertiser friendly, because they don't think that they could put an ad for goddamn Cheetos next to your ass. That's That's what this comes down to,
All right.
which I beg to differ. I think you could sell so many Cheetos next to my ass.
Um,
Put Cheetos on my ass if you would like.
that's my understanding. Is we? I don't know what we're bringing the hammer down on. What for? Like, what are we protecting and who from what? I'm not clear
They
anymore.
wanna say we're saving the children. Nope, you're saving the ad dollars. Which
But that's also strange because we've been putting ass cheeks next to things we've been trying to sell forever.
thank
That's
you.
what we do. I don't understand. That's what we've been doing.
But those were like approved ass cheeks.
Are sex workers of non-approved ass cheeks?
No, no, we're dirty ass cheeks. Apparently, we're bad ass cheeks. We're wanton women
Are
or
we? Oh,
gays
I mean, I don't know enough about the topic. It just sounds.
of ass cheeks. I feel like you're
Oh no.
somewhat
What I
of a
mean,
connoisseur.
I am. I am a trained esthetician. But what I'm thinking is in terms of like, oh, the reason why we're coming down on it is because so many black and brown women are getting money for their ass cheeks. And as far as my understanding is that I see a lot more representation across ass cheeks, and as a result, I can see
Yep.
why I could see why white folks would, white legislators would be like, oh, the horror, because that's usually what happens. Is white people are allowed to be naked, brown people are
Well,
not
the
allowed to be
right
naked.
type of white people can't be fat. Uh, they don't like seeing disabled people.
Right.
Um, you can't. You have to be the right age, presenting in the right way. Um, they don't usually like any of that androgyny. They don't want anything gender queer. Um,
So
um,
just sickly bird faced white women are allowed to be naked. Otherwise, the hammer comes down.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, well that makes sense. Like I'm just thinking about it. Like, oh, this is we can't. Not only that, but the asses that everybody wants aren't the asses that they're showing us. So then we're just removing the we're removing the institution of asses as a
Yeah,
viable source
yeah.
of income.
You have to like the same pointy asses that the ad execs like, or to hell with you, I guess. um, which, if you have a bony, pointy ass, more power to you. If that's your ass, love your pointy ass. But I just think my round black ass should not be seen as offensive in comparison. That internet.
Your ass, it unfortunately renders the other asses obsolete, and that's been the struggle with white folks is they find your ass the most attractive, but they're not supposed to, and they are so angry with themselves over it that they just lose their shit. And as we are right now, literally attacking the institution of being able to put your ass cheeks on the internet, because as we're growing, there's nothing more that they can do. Your ass cheeks are there; they're better. And frankly, we could put a can of Coke on each of them and sell more cans of Coke that way, and they hate it.
What I think it's very weird is like the commodification of like body positivity has led to it be going full circle where it was showing your body as a way of empowerment, and that was something that like was revolutionary for fat bodied people and people of color, because we literally had to cover our bodies because they were seen as offensive. And then that got commodified where they're like, oh, we could use this to sell things. um, but they wanted to make it more marketable and approachable. So they took that and just put the same bodies that were always being shown, but then saying that they were doing it because it's revolutionary and body positivity. And then they use that to sell us things to make us feel bad about our bodies not looking like the bodies that are presented to us. So now we are going to buy flat tummy tea and fucking Nutra mint or whatever those drink instead of having real food meal plan bullshit are. And now you have Noom who's saying, well, it's not a diet, it's a way of life. No, it's a diet. You're selling weight loss. So I kind of feel like we just they just found a way to sell us the same shit, and in doing so, made it so nobody could show their bodies. Uh, it's a clusterfuck. Which reminds me of the song Cluster Hug, which is going to be on one of the albums that it's on my way from my birthday. Very good. I don't know how, but they found me. I'm going to recommend that. I think they're going to be my new Panic at the Disco. If you guys can't tell, I am out of my ADHD medicine and I have not taken them, so
You're fine.
my brain is firing.
No, you're doing fine. Listen, we want where we are going where we need to go. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to leave you opportunities to go to the next story before I start talking about the Baldo.
Yes, the balls deep Baldo. I was wondering if we're gonna bring that up because I feel like that's something that like you need to see it.
Well, I think we need to paint the picture so that people are invited to look.
So the Baldo is basically a ball cage that uses tension and resistance bands to make your balls a dildo.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of wondering, would you be able to have double penetration if your balls are going through that much?
It raises a question about ball sensitivity because essentially having your balls constrained to the point where they are suitable to essentially fill and man a dildo is
And putting that in a vagina or a butthole, I feel would be too much. It is my understanding that balls are very sensitive. I don't have them, but I've heard
some balls can take a beating. Not mine, but some can. And looking at, like, have you ever seen someone get their balls paddled to orgasm before?
No, but I've seen somebody that liked to be kicked, and they said it was a sexual thrill to them, but they did not orgasm, which I'm like, I don't believe you, but whatever.
I mean, you haven't
It's their journey.
Right. And it's like, I realize the Baldo is for that audience. Like, looking at it, I'm like, oh, hard no. But understanding that there are some people who can literally take a cricket bat to the balls and have a huge orgasm. He had a monstrous, or good for that dude. Real talk. Good for fucking him. He went to sleep really well, but that's not for me, and it just fascinates me to, like, I want to know more about it. Like, I'm intrigued by the product because it doesn't seem like, I want to know who's it for. Like, I want to see it in practice. I'm willing to look at any and all videos of the Baldo in practice.
What was very interesting to me is in conversating around the Baldo, I found out that there were people who were just putting balls in buttholes, just like scooping them in. And I'm just like, how do you put your balls in somebody's butthole without accoutrement? But apparently this is a thing that people have been doing.
Oh, putting your balls in someone's butthole?
Yeah, like that just logistically seems like a task that's a lot. Because that would be a lot of shoving, and I feel like something would break. Either balls or the butthole, something's gonna give.
Again, I have substantial balls, but I've never thought about where they go.
On a t-shirt.
What?
I have substantial balls.
Listen, it's one of those things where you don't know how to broach the topic, and it's not a flex because it's not a flex. Some people do like big balls, but it doesn't matter the context of this conversation. But it is important to understand where I'm coming from. As someone with big sensitive balls, sometimes I look at other people, how they treat their balls, and it fascinates me. So all of this is interesting to me. I've been looking at videos of this stuff on and off for days now. because some people's balls are just for real warriors. Like I realize my balls are just dainty flowers of ballitude. They just are. They just frolic through the meadow. They get burned. They get sunburned easily. They get sick easily. They need to sleep a lot, and they eat very little because my balls could take nowhere near the amount of punishment required for the ball dough to work, or to force my balls into someone's asshole. And I imagine it would feel fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not thinking it's gonna feel fantastic. I don't. Maybe if once you actually get them in there, sure. But like the act of getting them in there, I just don't see that being pleasurable. Unless you're like hardcore into ball torture.
There are a lot. It's very sensitive. Balls are very sensitive. Like I found out within the last year or so that I like having my balls like that. I always thought that was for show. I didn't know that was a thing. I did not know that was a thing. No, I thought it was for show. And it's it's like deep throating doesn't always work. Like the most sensitive part of your penis is at the head. So all the deep throating is mostly just Harlem Globetrotter stuff, just between the legs, around the back, behind the back. Like it's great theater, phenomenal theater, but it's theater, So, but to find out that my balls were way more sensitive than I could have ever imagined, I'm like, all right, I can see it. The contortion.
Yeah, I always ask people like, is that something you're into? Because I don't like a ball. Like it's not a thing.
Right. That's my understanding.
And
you do. Oh, go on.
If the dick is the right size, then you could like deep throat and lick the balls.
Well, that's a thing that's happened. But again, it's just good theater. You can hang around the head of my penis and make me come in 2 minutes, no problem. If you want to, like I said, some people, they're just, they're out here. They got.
I do love that you have admitted that it is theater, because there have been times in my past, when I was like a young 20-year-old and I'm just going to town, and I'm wondering like, who am I really doing this for? Like, there's no camera. We're not saving this for prosperity. And I'm like, I could have spit on my hand and gave him a good like jerky durky, and he would have been fine.
Right. That's usually what I've like my experience has been. So yeah, that I don't, deep throating is fun, but I've never, the thing about it is for deep throating to work, it has to be maximized. Like I would have to fuck someone's throat aggressively for me to have an orgasm like that. So it's like
I find if you have a lot of like soft palate control and like throat control, then the guy shouldn't have to do it. You should be doing all of it. So you should be like fucking him with your throat. It should be like active on the suckies part.
I think a bit of it depends, because sometimes fucking someone's throat is what you want to do as a guy, is just hold someone's head and go to town. So that's,
I get it.
Right. So that's the thing. So
because it just depends on who likes being more active when.
Right.
Because I feel like you have to pick or choose. Because if you want to like aggressively throat fuck and I'm trying to like do throat magic, like you might thrust when I'm squeezing it. It's going to be a sad time for the both of us.
Right. That's what I mean. There has to be deep throating again is a dance above all else. It's an elegant dance between two people that care about each other. That could result in a lot of vomit. So make sure you plan the dance beforehand. But to me, deep throating is a lot of theater. Someone just doing it is not going to make me have an orgasm. It's cool though. Like it's.
Well, what about when you were younger and you were just happy that somebody was doing it?
Nope. The thing about it is you can, if you return to the head of my penis after having done it, then I'm sensitive to it. But there's never been a time where I've come from deep throating, just someone doing the thing.
Oh.
And it's always,
I just mean like, golly gee, she put it in her mouth like that. Was like,
well, it is
people like that was enough.
Oh, it is. But when you put it all the way, it's just less sensation at the base of the shaft. And eventually the part that works is actually kind of stuffed into your throat and not moving. So it's just like, it's like in there and it's snug and it's cool, but we're not doing the things that would make me have an orgasm. And again, like I said, I realized I used to, what happened was,
Because you've chosen to use the word snug, I'm just imagining your penis, but like in a very nice sweater.
no, that's exactly it. It's like, there are times where, like, because when I was younger, I was like, oh, that doesn't work for me. And then there were people who were just like, listen, shut up. I'm just trying to do this. There were just like people who were just taking it as an athletic challenge to get as much of my erection in their mouth for them. I was like, cool, I'll shut the fuck up then. I won't say anything.
You're just there, like, I feel like this isn't about me.
Right, and which is fine. They don't have a penis. I'm providing a penis. They should be allowed to explore as they see fit because they don't have the option to just call on one like I do. Fine, but I let them do the thing, but I tell them, I want you to know that I'm not going to come as fast. So it's just like, just know that you are in fact just doing the thing, which I appreciate. But an orgasm won't quite result from this. It's just good fun, which is fine. Just,
the sex doesn't have to be about orgasms.
No.
I think that's a weird way of thinking about sex. I'd rather sex be about mutual pleasure, and that doesn't mean orgasms all the time.
I've had people tell me that they get turned on by deep throating. I've had people have orgasms from damn near choking themselves in my erection. So sure,
I get that.
Right,
I definitely get that.
Right,
It's just a lot of like constraint and release. That's why people get orgasms doing a lot of sit-ups.
Exactly. So I've learned that even if it's not necessarily going to make me come, if someone's offering to do it, because I never say it. I never tell anybody, "I gotta fuck your throat, baby." I never say it.
Well, especially if you say it like that.
I hear a lot of stories. Anywho, I don't say it like that. If you want to engage in that athletic endeavor, I fully support you. We do it. But I realize that if someone wants to do it and they bring it up first or they try it, that's fine. It's usually because they're enjoying it themselves in some way, so I'm not going to get in the way then. Especially because all I have to do is sit there and get my dick sucked. That's a first world problem. Top 5 first world problem is having to sit there and get your dick sucked while someone's getting themselves off sucking your dick. Fair. Everybody wins. It's still as I always say, if it's the highlight of your day, then shut up about it. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, having your entire dick in someone's mouth is the highlight of your day. A lot of men make that mistake where we try to act like sex is something that is right alongside the Mario Kart, masturbation, and pizza that we were doing the previous 23 and a half hours. It's not true. Someone came in your house, or you pulled up on someone, they put your whole dick in their mouth, they wanted to do it, someone came, it's the highlight of your day, it's okay to say. Fine.
Well, I feel some people feel like that gives the other person too much power.
Yes, because they could chew your dick off. Fair. Again, that is fine. If you don't want that power, then let someone put your dick in their mouth where they could rip it off like a fucking lion. If you're concerned, which is viable. I was
thinking more of like
emotional power, right? Right, but I understand. Yes,
not a direct, but yes,
right. But that's what I'm saying, though. If power structures as a man if you're that concerned about power structures as a man, then you need to follow through with that. Because you're willing to get your dick sucked, but you don't want someone to suck your dick triumphantly. If you're that concerned, don't get your dick sucked. Don't let it happen. If you feel some kind of way after you get your dick sucked and somebody does it like a true champion, a fucking warrior, and you feel some kind of way about it, don't let them do it.
I've encountered that, in my sports fucking days where a guy was like turned off by my enthusiasm.
Yes.
And I was like, that made me like, so you don't want me to want it? Like, so how does this usually work for you? I'm concerned and I want to leave your apartment now.
Right.
Yeah, it's a weird dance we play with delicate masculinities.
Right. And they're all about it until you're all about it. In which case, just fuck a doll. Like, what you're saying is you want someone to be present for them to also not be about it, for you to enjoy it because they're not about it. Fuck a doll.
That it kind of just means like what they've learned to find pleasure in is coercion and like turning a no into a reluctant yes.
Yep.
And then the chick not really being into it because they have quote unquote tricked her into it. And way too many guys are into that and not the actual act itself. It's about tearing somebody down, which is scary. Those fragile frat boy erections.
Right. That's why I'm saying when you have an issue with human levels of sexual enthusiasm, that means you want a completely reluctant human, which is a whole other problem, which means you need to then be fucking mattresses, dolls, pillows, chairs, meat, whatever. But it cannot be sentient if you're entirely...
That means an animal died for their punch meat. I don't like that.
Listen, that's the animal we were going to eat. In fact, it's taking a meal off someone's table. That animal had a glorious sacrifice, and then that person snatched someone's meatloaf and fucked it. That's a bigger problem. Again, for another show. Again.
Yeah.
But, just saying, if that's your thing, if you get turned off by someone being really turned on and expressing their agency, you can't be with the humans. You gotta fuck the objects. Sorry, bro.
We should just launch you into space.
I would prefer that, but we can't get that right. We're not good with deciding who and what to launch into space. That's the long and the short of it.
True.
Right. If we could nail that, that's the problem with corporal punishment. It isn't corporal punishment is the problem, is we don't know who to pick. We have no idea. All the sociopaths are fine. And we do not, and we have a quota of people we believe to be guilty that we must punish to death. That's how American society works, so we can't do corporal punishment anymore. If we knew exactly who to send into space, we should send them to space.
Yeah.
We're not there
yet.
yet.
I don't mean like on a spaceship. I mean just launching them into orbit.
I want them to go into a rocket that is disintegrated by the sun, because I don't necessarily want... I feel like aliens are watching, and I don't want them to see us disposing of our terrible people by having them float around. So Earth is just going to be a planet like orbited by a thin layer of its worst people ejected into space. Like, that's a bad look, and we don't look that good anyway.
But I feel like that would send a strong message.
I mean, the whole fact that we're all like really fist fighting each other to spread disease is a pretty strong message. We don't need to dedicate space time to that.
That's true. But the aliens would definitely know that they better not like fail the vibe check. Because we just all are worse people. Just like floating in space. And we like put a shirt on them that says failed vibe check. Like, sorry, Jamantha, you failed the vibe check, you rapey shit. Into the upper atmosphere you go, bitch.
Once we get that down, then sure. Yeah. All that to say, fellas, let your don't overthink your blessings. That's all. Don't overthink them. That's it.
Because if you do and you act wrong, you're gonna fail the pussy vibe check and be ejected. Not into space, but definitely out of that vagina or butthole.
It's one of the things why
no.
It's why there's, I hate to say this, is like this groundswell of very lonely, angry older men, because a lot of the bullshit simply ages out. Like, when you're 20, the shit works because nobody knows any better, and over time people just want to stop bothering. So by the time you're 35 to 45 years old, either you've seen that and changed what you're doing, or no one's going to want to touch you. And by that age, it's just like a bunch of 35 to 50-year-old confused men about why don't non-men do anything to want to have sex, when the opposite is true, is they do, just not with you because you're terrible.
Yeah, yeah. My brother sent me this like really awful Reddit post by the guy who's saying like women don't actually like sex. They just tease us and they torture us because I've never met a woman that wanted to have sex. And it's like, whoa,
Ooh.
whoa, dude, you just
Ooh.
no internal conflict happened when you thought about that, my dude.
Well,
You didn't reflect on that, not even a little, my
yeah,
guy.
we are absolutely positively trained that non-men don't know what they want. I will tell you that right now from being raised by elder dudes. The central message is that non-dudes, they do not know what they want. So as a result, we can then manipulate them as we see fit. In practice, that it proved to be untrue from a young age. I'm very lucky to have only known really, really objectively honest women growing up. So I don't have that problem where I need to, where I'm like, where I have this idea that non-dudes don't know what they want. That's not my experience. So, but a lot of men are taught that. And if they don't learn that, then, or more so if they don't ruin it. Because also, in my formative years, a lot of times what would happen is someone, one of the girls in school would express sexuality to then be destroyed by every boy in the school verbally, even though every single boy in the school liked it. So then that lady no longer expresses sexuality, and then boys take that behavior with them forever, unless people want to sleep with them. But those people still engage in sexual activity, just not with them. But they think that women are coy and confused when it's just really they just don't want you, because you make it very dangerous for them to want you or anyone publicly. So, yeah, again, these are all things that I was taught that were disproved over time, but I could see it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, like those angry older dudes that you talk about, those are all the guys who are trying to hit up barely legal and younger women,
Right.
because they've aged out of women their old age, because we're not dealing with their bullshit.
Right. They should be launched into space, by the way. I have a very hardline stance on that. If you are an older man and you like young girls, you should be launched into space. Full stop. There is
older women who only like young boys too. Launch them bitches into space as well.
Right. I teach kids. I taught teenagers for the first time all year.
I'm Oakland. So sorry.
Listen, those kids are on it, especially because I let them have their own podcast. They're on it. But to see sexual value in people that young is a problem. And 17-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 13-year-olds, all those kids. I've taught all those kids this year. To see sexual value in them.
I can't imagine seeing them as sexual because I'm way too afraid of the very mean things that they will say. I had to cover the teen Bible class for like a week, and scarred me for life what those mean children could say. And I wasn't that much older than them. I was like 23 at the time. Destroyed me. And this was at church. So I can't imagine somebody looking at a being made of like so much like spite. And it's like they're all little sociopaths at that time because like their brains aren't done yet. So it hasn't sunk in that other people also feel pain. And they'll just say whatever, man. And then smile at you.
Right. So that's one. Also, they're not done. Young kids are just not done cooking. And it's like in every way possible. What they say, what they think, how they look, they're not finished cooking.
Yeah.
It's really strange to find that attractive. And again, that's my hardline stance. I judge people who do.
So I was talking about like all the emo bullshit that I like, and I was thinking about like how in so many of these like band fandoms, the age of impressionable kids that like these bands are always the same. Like 14-year-old girls still love Panic at the Disco, even though those dudes are, I think some of them are older than me.
Right.
And that now makes me more concerned than ever because I like almost every band that I used to listen to that like if you played the Warp Tour, somebody in your band probably had an inappropriate relationship with a teenager, and that's really sad.
That's fucking weird, man.
But that seems to be the rule of thumb. And nobody ever gets like it's never ruined a career to have an inappropriate relationship with a teenager or be like pushing 40 but your girlfriend's 19 or 20. Nah, like for the fiction thing I'm working on, I like explore some of those things.
Right.
And in it, I was like, oh, well, obviously, like one character would be very upset if somebody that he's in a band with is having one of these relationships. And then I started researching and I'm like, oh, nobody has ever faced consequences for this. So it would be a mute point. Like nobody would care because he would get away with it. Because apparently, if you could carry a tune, strum a guitar, beat a drum, you get to touch teenagers.
Yes.
One metal band that my ex used to listen to, lead singer took a hit out on his wife, only served like 2 years, got out, is now touring with the band.
He took a hit out on his wife?
Yeah, he went to jail for trying to order a hitman to kill his estranged wife because she wanted a divorce.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
He served a couple years in jail. He was only sentenced to 5 years for that.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Yeah. And back with the band. Just living life. Still posting on Instagram.
Well then. All right.
Yep. If you think Trapped is like the worst, there's so much worse. I mean, Trapped is still pretty bad. Not just their music, like their whole deal. But well. Oh, we had a time off where we got on so many tangents and really got into the Baldo that I didn't even get to talk about Tiny Pretty Things. But we'll save that for next show. Give you a tease so you listen. But I do want to say thank you for joining us. And I hope you have a great holiday, no matter what you're celebrating or not celebrating. I hope you don't have to work. Be gay, do crimes, and see you next Tuesday.